Picture this, you're shampooing weekly, you're deep conditioning with moisture, you're putting your hair in some sort of protective style, and you go to your next salon appointment and your hair turns out like this. Yeah, that was me, and that's all the things I was doing, but it wasn't enough. So these are the 8 things that you are going to need to do to retain length on your fine natural hair. What's up, curlies? It's your girl Kiki. Welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, I do all things curly hair tips, product reviews and styling. Today's video, we are talking all things fine natural hair. Girls, you know the struggle. If you've got fine hair, it's just not enough to just do deep conditioners, shampoos. There's always something missing, and I'm going to give you the 8 things that you need to be doing to retain length on your fine natural hair. The first thing that you need to make sure you are doing, and it may sound counterproductive, bear with me, it is trimming, and trimming on a schedule. Now, depending on how bad you get splits and single strand knots are going to determine on how frequent you need to trim. Me personally, I go every 3 to 4 months. Now, if I leave it any longer, I've gone 6 months before and my ends are just torn up. So now I like to make sure I go every 3 to 4 months. Now, yes, you may think it's a bit counterproductive because obviously we're trying to retain as much length as possible, but we're trimming off the new growth. And yes, you may not see as much length retained if you maybe stretched your trims to like twice a year. However, hair grows 0.5 to an inch every single month. So if you're going every 3 to 4 months, you can still retain a good amount of hair, and make sure that your ends are intact, because us fine hair girls, our ends seem to be the worst parts. When we go to the hair salon, our ends are almost see-through at points, and we do see breakage quite a lot. So in order to keep our hair healthy, even and growing nice and full, which is very important, especially if you have hair that's on the lower or medium density side, you're going to need to go for your trims. The second thing you want to do to retain length on fine hair is you are going to want to prioritize bond treatments into your routine on wash day. Bond treatments are literally a lifesaver. Now, when I stopped doing bond treatments is when I saw the decline of my natural hair, and the reason is because bond treatments strengthen your hair from the inside out. It really gets to the inner layers of the hair to rebuild the bonds from the inside. So moisture treatments and deep conditioners are just not enough sometimes. And yes, moisture is fantastic, we need it, but we also need the balance of moisture and strength, because if you're a fine hair girl, you know that your hair breaks off very easily, and we need to make sure that we are mitigating that as much as possible. So bond builders are going to be something that you need to incorporate into your weekly or bi-weekly wash day schedule. And if you want to see my recommendations for products, I will link them in the description below. The third thing you're going to want to do for your fine hair is low manipulation / low tension styling. Heavy on the low tension, especially if you are somebody who has low density hair. You are not going to want to put much stress on those roots or those hair follicles. You're going to want to make sure the tension is as minimal as possible and you leave your hair alone. Now, I'm going to put out a video about mini twists because the girlies are loving mini twists at the moment. It is all the rage for length retention. However, it doesn't always work for us, especially if you have lower density hair. Sometimes you can look like you've got like 4 mini twists on your head and it's not the best look. So I'm going to give you some styles for fine natural hair, but in the meantime, I want you to just prioritize maybe some sort of looser jumbo style or medium style. So maybe medium twists or medium braid outs that you can do on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and you take it down, you wash and you redo that every single week. You can't do that with mini twists, obviously. You don't spend 7 hours to then take it down every week. So something that's going to be easy enough for you to take down and then install, but making sure the tension is not a lot. We don't want to rip out our roots. We don't want to put stress on our hair at all. We don't want these styles to be tight. They need to be low tension. The fourth point that you are going to want to do is clarify your hair weekly or bi-weekly. With fine hair, it gets build up very easily, and this build up can be somewhat close to our scalp depending on where we put our products, and that means our scalp does get a little bit more irritated and itchy a lot quicker than maybe someone who has coarser hair and whose hair can actually withstand the heaviness or the build up of products. So I find that my hair was doing the best when I was clarifying weekly and with some sort of detox shampoo, and it just gave my hair a really nice reset. It enables you to let the next lot of products that you use really do what they are meant to be doing and get all of the moisture into your hair. So resetting your hair and making sure you've got a good clarifying routine, especially on the scalp, is going to be something that is a big tick for us fine hair girls. Number 6 is get a water filter. If you are someone who lives in a hard water area, which many of us do, you will know that the water in our area can dry out our hair, it can dry out our skin, it can make our hair more susceptible to breakage due to the levels of calcium and the minerals within the water. It's no good. I would highly recommend, especially if you are someone who uses spray bottles on your hair, especially if we are washing our hair every week. Filtered water is going to be something that is imperative to minimize the weakening of our strands. Water filters are not too expensive, they're quite accessible. You can pick them up from Amazon or somewhere like that, but you are going to want to invest in a water filter definitely for your hair. On to number 7. This is detangling. Whilst there are so many great products on the market for detangling, we've got our tangle teasers, we've got our unbrushes, we've got our wide tooth combs. We want to be not only very gentle, but we want to also try and minimize the use of those tools as well. So what I would recommend is during your initial part of your wash day, the part where you are either doing a pre-poo or you are detangling from the week, you get yourself a good product to apply to your hair, i.e. an oil or a flaxseed gel, and you detangle using your fingers initially. Now, I'm not saying do that for the whole wash day, because for some of us with those high density hair girls, it can be a very, very time consuming task. But I believe it is worth it because the amount of breakage, shedding, etc. that you will find you lose is going to be a lot less than if you were to go straight in with a tangle teaser and just start detangling that way. So I would definitely recommend start finger detangling first, and then once you get into your deep conditioner, then that is when you can go in with your hair tools and brushes and things like that. But also be mindful not to overdo the detangling part of our wash day, because again, that is where you're going to see the breakage. If your hair is particularly weak or fragile in any areas, then just be mindful of that. The last one, something I've been talking about recently and I have been really neglecting with my hair. The 8th and final do for your fine natural hair length retention goal is you're going to want to minimize air drying as much as possible. Now, I'm not saying blow dry, don't get it twisted, I'm not saying blow dry your hair every single wash day, but what I am saying is that you don't leave your hair wet or damp for a prolonged period of time. So yes, you should be air drying because ultimately that is going to be the safest thing for your hair. However, just please make sure you do not make the same mistakes that I've been making and putting my twists in, leaving them damp, and they're still damp for the next day, and your hair is getting weaker and it's over moisturized and it's breaking a lot easier because you have been just extending the amount of time that your hair is damp for. Make sure that when you do your wash day, you significantly dry your hair, the excess moisture and water out of your hair. And if need be, if your hair is not dry by the time you need to do whatever you need to do within the first couple of hours, then go in with some sort of diffuser or bonnet dryer or whatever that is just to dry your style. Do not leave it wet, because our hair unfortunately just can't take that and I've definitely seen the effects of leaving my hair damp for a long time. Hope you've enjoyed this video on the 8 do's of retaining length for your fine natural hair. Let me know if I've missed any out that you would swear by, and I will see you in the next video.